Hello and welcome to the Cricketers Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Tim Williams. We are here to recap the week that was in the world of cricket with the Indian Premier League underway and the Sheffield Shield final on the horizon. Here to talk through it with me, as always, Cricket Australia commentator Max Bryden. Maxie, how are you, mate?
G'day, Timo. Man, I'm doing well. IPL started overnight. We've already seen some massive run totals. Pumped. Shield finals around the corner. Like, footy, what's that, man? It's all cricket at the moment for me, so I'm pumped.
Well, mate, like the IPL, it brings together the world's best players for 2 months of just smash and bash exciting cricket. But, mate, your head's at the Sheffield Shield for sure.
Oh, absolutely, mate. Give me 4 days at Karen Roldan any day of the week. I'll put the feet up. I'll watch the ambulances drive by. You know, might even have a friend or two in the crowd, to be honest. Like, they're not these sellout events. It's mate, that's cricket. It's beautiful.
It is. The good stuff. Also with us, as always, the bloke with the best stats in the business. Random stats guy, Rando. How are you?
Mate, excited. Just as we think the cricket season is ending, the IPL kicks up and starts again. So definitely more cricket on the horizon. And then midweek at night, chucking on the IPL, watching the games. How good is that? Every day, all 7 days. My partner loves me now. I can't wait.
Yeah, loves you for now.
Loves you for now, yeah. Did love me.
Guys, why are we here? And I promise this is the last time that I'll remind you, but the Australian cricket summer over and done with. The footy season has started here in Australia. The focus shifts a little bit down here. We basically want to keep Aussies in touch with what's going on in the world of cricket, whether that's the Aussies in county cricket, pressing their claims to the World Test Championship final berth, updates on how the Indian Premier League is going, all in bite-sized bits so that you don't have 6 months of basically cricket being forgotten about down under. Of course, not all Australian focus though. It's the world of cricket, touching on the key points from all nations. On today's show, the IPL preview, the Aussies in the IPL, the international players to watch, our predictions for the tournament, and Rando's stats trivia, which will be IPL themed this week. Can't wait for that. I can actually see under Rando's screen, so I'm a huge chance this week in that one. And then the Sheffield Shield final, we'll preview that one as well between South Australia and Queensland, with drama heading into that one around Test star Usman Khawaja. Guys, if you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe to our channel. If you have any comments, agree, disagree with us, let us know in the comment section. And ditto on Spotify, Apple, like us, rate us, all those good things. But guys, let's get into it. And Indian Premier League. So it is the 18th edition of the tournament, 74 matches with the final to be played on May 26th. There's 15 Australians in the setup this season. Touching on the start of the tournament and a match played out, just the second match of the tournament, the Sunrisers Hyderabad against the Rajasthan Royals, 6 for 286. Just for those new to the IPL, T20 cricket, boys. Ishan Kishan, 106 off 47 balls, unbeaten in that one. Travis Head, the Aussie IPL star, 67 off 31. The Pommy Firebrand, Jofra Archer, none for 76 off 4 overs. But it got me looking, boys, into the highest T20 totals of all time, both domestic and international. It was the second highest domestic T20 score of all time by the Sunrisers. They've got the second, third and fourth highest domestic T20 totals of all time, which is bonkers. For reference, the highest of all time, Baroda in Indian domestic cricket, 5 for 349. Not a bad day out. International cricket, Zimbabwe against Gambia late last year. T20 International, 4 for 344. Our man, a popular man on this podcast, Sakinder Raza, 133 not out off 43 in that fixture.
Bad toss to lose for the Gambians.
Yeah, long afternoon for the Gambians of T20 cricket. But boys, let's get into the IPL preview, and we will start with the Australians. Maxie, a few superstars of the game over there. Who are the guns that have caught your eye, and will they be there to add to probably their lengthy and glistening resumes as it stands?
Yeah, look, the IPL in the last couple of years has really just sprung to life as like a batter's paradise. I think they worked out that they could play more ads if they hit more sixes. So they've flattened out the decks, and it's like, without sounding a bit nerdy, the atmospheric conditions, the dew in these grounds, it just makes for run scoring fests. And I'll tell you what, if you think that Aussies love Travis Head, you've got to check out the people from Hyderabad. They absolutely love this man. He was brought in last year as an opening batter for them. He opens the batting with a local player called Abhishek Sharma. They form an opening partnership called Travishek, which is one of the most devastating opening partnerships in world world cricket. So for me, the gun to watch for the Aussies is Travis Head. The best thing I love about Travis Head, it's not just the sixes, it's not just the strike rate, it's not just the moustache, it's not just the dances that we're going to see on his Instagram as well from all the commercial agreements that the Sunrisers Hyderabad have signed over there. It's the fact that he gets to go out there, swing his willow, and he doesn't have to field because they've got the impact sub rule over there. So after his batting's done, he just goes and puts his feet up, probably cracks a beer. So my gun to watch from the Aussies, Travis Head. I love him, and so do the Sunrisers, and they're a real chance this year.
It just sounds like wonderful conditions, doesn't it? Even if you get like a first ball duck, you just go and put the feet up. Yeah, I'm done for the day, whatever. Yep. There'll be a new game in 2 days' time, and I'll come good there. So Paddy Cummins, Travis Head, a big one to watch out there for Sunrisers. Rando, what about for yourself, mate?
For me, I'm going to be boring. I'm going to go bowler here, and Mitch Starc coming off player of the match in last year's final. He took 2 for 14 in 3.0 overs. Probably could have taken more wickets if they didn't bowl them all out in that final as well. He's going to be stellar. How about his bowling average in the IPL in his career? 22.29. Quite crazy stuff in IPL terms. He had an average in 2015 of 14.55, just to put that in perspective. And he had a 9-year gap there between series two. So absolutely unbelievable. I think he'll be really good there for the Delhi Capitals. He's definitely my man to watch. I was going to say Paddy Cummins, watch out for him, but after last night's performance, 0 for 60, I might take that back.
Still better than Jofra.
Still a bit of it.
Imagine being in this tournament, like going into it as a bowler and being on like millions of dollars for a couple of months' work, and then just going that basically the theme of the tournament is what? Hunt for the 300.
Yep.
Just going, I'm on big coin, and like none for 60 could be good figures in this tournament. Seriously.
Crazy.
But yeah, Paddy Cummins obviously over there. Josh Hazlewood, you boys mentioned Starc, Head, so plenty of firepower. But the most exciting one, boys, from an Australian point of view, it's the next generation of talent. And these might be some more experienced guys. It might be guys getting their first crack over the Indian Premier League. They're starting to sort of surface and make themselves known across the Australian international scene, but getting cracks in the IPL. Maxie, there's plenty of them. Who do you like?
There's a really good list of next-gen guys. These are the guys who they've maybe had a little bit of a taste of playing for Australia, but they're certainly going to have a lot more in the years to come. And one guy that I've really got my eye on this year is the Mitchell Starc replacement at Kolkata Knight Riders. It's Spencer Johnson. Tall, left arm. Brisbane Heat fans have gotten familiar with his game in the Big Bash in the last couple of years. He bowls really quick, and you can also he's got all the skills to bowl to death. The only real knock on Spencer Johnson is, can he do this having cut off his hair? He was voted in the BBL as having the second best hair in the entire league behind Chris Lynn, who's famously bald. But Spencer's amazing. He's got a real opportunity to step in that lineup as well, with Starc having switched clubs over to the Delhi Capitals. So my eyes are on him, because we could be looking at the next death bowler to wear coloured clothing for Australia in these ICC tournaments in the years to come. So big Spenny J, he's my man to watch in the next gen.
Yeah, can't wait. And he's burst on the scene in recent years, hasn't he, as well? Like enormous for the Heat in recent seasons. So can't wait to see what he can deliver over in the IPL. Rando, yourself?
For me, the $1.6 million boy, Jake Fraser-McGurk. Really interested to see. Obviously, his BBL form was a bit scary in the terms of not the good scary for Delhi Capital fans listening. But I guess he did shake it off, because in an intra-squad game that he played in, he hit 114 off 45 balls. So maybe India is his best surface, but we know exactly what he did over there last year as well, and that's exactly why he got his price. He hit 330 runs in 9 matches, averaging 37 with a strike rate of 234. So obviously well-deserved. Hopefully he finds his form in this IPL series, because Delhi Capitals have paid him big bucks, but I'm very excited to see him play.
Tell you what, they'd be very nervous about that investment, Jake Fraser-McGurk, because even coming into the Big Bash this season, like granted, he was playing with the Melbourne Renegades, so the deck there at Marvel in Melbourne, not the best, not the most batsman-friendly deck you can go to.
It's very kind of you, mate.
Yeah, it is very kind.
Glenn Maxwell found it pretty easy.
Yeah, well, Glenn Maxwell's an exception to all rules cricket. But Fraser-McGurk burst onto the scene, but honestly, the longer he's gone on, or certainly over the last 12 months, there's been a lot of critique of him, and one of the most explosive batsmen in world cricket. But the quality of bowlers around the world, internationally, coaching around the world, they're finding flaws in his game. And he's got an issue with his temperament and trying to find that balance between scoring quickly and scoring it all, to be honest. And his recent knocks, 2 matches for Australia in ODIs, 9 and 2. Before that, in the final game of the Big Bash, when the pressure was off and there was nothing really on the line for the Renegades, 95. Then he had 7, 19, 0, 12, 1, 26 and 2. A really ordinary performance tournament for him by his standards. Maxie, how do you see Jake Fraser-McGurk? Because the one thing about is, whilst to be facing the best bowlers in the world, to be under a lot of pressure with that price tag, these flat decks that they're producing over there, the conditions are good.
Oh, the conditions are amazing. And look, there's a bit of a trend, I think, in Jake's game when you look at a guy who came out of Victoria and where did he choose to move and play his state cricket that really saw him advance? He moved to Adelaide, which is the best place to bat in the country. So I won't go so far to say that he's a flat track bully, but he's not far off. So good batting conditions are going to suit him. But I think the reminder for Jake probably over the last, won't say 12 months, but certainly through the BBL was that he's not the finished product. There's still levels to his game that he can reach and people that he needs to improve. I think the thing that was so good about him last year was the talk between him about the words Ricky Ponting was giving to him about his game and saying, mate, you're swinging too hard. Just swing 20% less. And for him, that really unlocked all of those runs that we saw at last year's IPL. So getting him out of the Big Bash environment and the pressure cooker where, he is the star player in this tournament into a global environment where he's just another player, albeit one with a price tag. He's got access to the best coaches in the world. He's going to have teammates, who are also scoring runs freely and teaching him tricks. I'm just pumped that we've got a guy over there who's on a learning mission, who's still young, who could have a really long, successful career for Australia in coloured clothing and potentially even white clothes too, hitting the red ball.
That would be exciting.
So, mate, I'm happy to forgive him. So, yeah.
And I mean, you had a bit of a giggle about it there, but the tag flat track bully, it's something that's going to be with him for a while, honestly, regardless of what he does in the IPL, because he's going to have the flat tracks there as well. So, but as you said, he's very early on in his development. We know the talent's there, but it's about how quickly he can develop and, start to chip away and get some runs and slow down his innings and get that temperament sorted on these tougher decks. Probably not going to see them in the IPL, but regardless, mate, very, very exciting to watch. A few other guys on that list, Josh Inglis, Aaron Hardy, Xavier Bartlett. Blokes with a point to prove, Maxie. Who's going over there? A few veterans of the game in particular who, they need big tournaments to get another contract next year, to be playing regularly. Who have you got here?
Mate, there's a good list and there's plenty of blokes that I could talk about here, but the one that really jumps out to me off the paper is Adam Zampa. Zamps, despite his stellar record for Australia in one-day cricket and in T20 cricket, he's had a pretty strange introduction to domestic competitions around the world. He's often overlooked, particularly in the Indian Premier League, where they prefer using local spinners and mystery spinners where they think they can get a better result and put their international resources towards batsmen, towards fast bowlers, things that necessarily they don't have within the Indian system. But every time he's played in the IPL, he's done really well. There was a few seasons ago, I think it was for the rising Pune Super Giants, who might not even exist anymore. He took them all the way in the final playing with Steve Smith and was bowling death overs and taking bags of wickets. But now he's in this advanced stage of his career. He's not really playing Shield cricket. We had the whole guffaw around him getting a game for New South Wales in this year, potentially trying out for the Sri Lanka tour. He's had a weird summer himself, Adam Zampa, but I'm really excited to see that he was firstly picked up in the IPL. Secondly, he played in the first game for Sunrisers Hyderabad. Now's his opportunity to really show his class to the rest of the world that the Australian national team has been experiencing for probably the last 5 years. So really hope he has a big tournament because I believe in him and I think that this could really set him up for the next couple of years in the twilight of his career where we're going to be counting on this guy to help us win World Cups.
Oh, mate, we know how much of an integral part he is for the Australian team. So, as you said, the white ball cricket, the IPL, if you can get on a roll here, great things for us moving forward. Rando, what about yourself?
Two players that spring to mind. First of all, my stunt double, Marcus Stoinis. Really hope he does well. Obviously, recently retired from the one-day game. So hopefully he can find some form in the domestic league. He's been averaging 30 in the last 2 seasons. So I'm sure he'll do well. But Mitch March is a big point prover for me. Obviously, he fell out of form late in the Test series and obviously lost his spot, came across to the BBL. I think he played 1 or 2 games, scoring very low numbers, but his T20 record over the last 20 months, he's got a high score of 39 and basically an average of 14 across 18 domestic games. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Mitch Marsh goes. Once again, flat track might suit him, both with the bat and the ball. So hopefully he can find that form, he can stay uninjured and put in a good performance so he can get that contract again.
Yeah, as another big one, and said the subheading was point proves and Mitchy Marsh to be the AB medal winner as the best in Australian cricket just, tick over 12 months ago now, a bit further. Not the best sum for him, dropped out of the test squad. So, again, massive point proof, and hopefully Mitchy bounces back and more than anything, just stays fit through this period as well. Boys, a superstar in India. Glenn Maxwell for Punjab and Timmy David for RCB, who was just bonkers game for Hobart this time around in the BBL. Talk to us there, Rando. Maxi. Close.
Well, mate, I'm happy to take on Tim David because he's a player that I love, and I think what he brings that maybe people don't necessarily realise is just something rare, which is ball one hitting in the late overs, and this is we've really grown accustomed, those people who love white ball cricket, who love T20 cricket, with the notion of death bowlers. These guys who can restrict the runs at the end, they can take the big wickets when it's really difficult. But Tim David's like one of the original death batters. He can go out there in the final 2 overs of a game and hit 30 off 6 and win you a contest. So he's an awesome commodity. RCB love him. He's on the roster there playing with big Virat, Phil Salt and a couple of other really, really big name players. RCB have never won the title. I think he's one of the ingredients which can help them right that ship and turn it around. So huge opportunity for Tim David to show why he's so valued on this global T20 circuit.
Absolutely. Rando.
Well, I'll take the superstar sensation, Glenn Maxwell. Well, we saw what he did for the Melbourne Stars, 0-5 to start the season in the Big Bash. Dragged them all the way almost to glory. So he definitely has that X factor about him. Of course, last season, not a great season for him in the IPL. He averaged 5, which is unheard of. Scores of 0, 16, 4, 0, 1. It is just poor numbers indeed. So he needs to have a massive one here for the Punjab Kings. Hopefully he finds his form this time, and obviously coming off the back of the Big Bash, he'll be feeling pretty good about himself too. So hopefully Glenn Maxwell, we see the best out of him, and hopefully last season was just a blimp.
Yeah, I think it will be there. Glenn Maxwell, if these decks are as flat as they appear to be early on and it's like true to form, holy shit, he's in for a big tournament. That is exciting. And he's not alone there. Boys, that's the wrap of the Aussies. Now, there's no World Team of the Week this week because, to be honest, there wasn't a whole heap of cricket, was there? A bit of Aussie domestic, that final round of the Sheffield Shield. But what we have done instead, in terms of being an IPL preview for 2025, the players to watch with a little bit of an Aussie scattering, but primarily look at players from around the world. So the openers in our team of players to watch, Maxi, and I'll throw in the number 3 as well because we've already touched on him, but Travis Head, Sunil Narine and Jake Fraser-McGurk, Narine being the main one there. Calcutta Knight Riders, can do it with bat and ball, West Indian. Talk to us.
Mate, Sunny Narine, I think one of my favourite crossovers between my love of the Big Bash and my love of the IPL. So put yourselves in the shoes of the Melbourne Renegades. I think it was BBL 08, and they were really struggling with the length of their batting order. And they took their West Indian import, who at the time was just bowling 4 overs of mystery spin, keeping it tight down there at Dockland Stadium. And they said, mate, why don't you open the batting? Having never done it before in his life. He went out there in a Melbourne derby against the Melbourne Stars. He smacked about 30 off about 15 rocks, and they sort of thought, there's a really interesting experiment here, so let's do it again. And Sunny Narine, the all-rounder, was born, seemingly out of nowhere. Like, I'm not just saying that this was a guy who would, come in at 7 and 8, sort of whack it around. Like, this came from absolutely nowhere. And since then, he has been more or less the most valuable player in the entire IPL. People know about his finger spin. He keeps it tight. He takes wickets. You don't know which way it's going to spin. But this guy is like one of the leading run scorers year in, year out, who hits sixes in the power play. He's really the full package when it comes to T20 cricket. He's going to be crucial for the Kolkata Knight Riders throughout this tournament. He's been with them, I think, for the entire time. And I love Sonny. He debuted at the Sixers as well in a big bash. That's another big reason why I was there with him. But yeah, I'm really, really excited to see how he goes. He had a good opening game too for KKR. So Sonny and Irene, we've got him on the team to watch at number 2.
Mate, he's been watching his evolution. Has been unreal. Would you say that the Big Bash in Australian cricket is responsible for his evolution off the back of this? Surely.
Yes, Tim. Yes, I would.
Guys, batting orders that mentioned Jake Fraser-McGurk at number 3, Nicholas Pooran at number 4, Rishabh Pant at 5, Glenn Phillips at number 6. Rando, who do you like here?
I think we've got to look at Nicholas Pooran here. He went for a whopping 2.6 million AU, which is absolutely crazy. I believe it was 16 Indian core, which is, absolutely crazy. Went into a bidding war, lucked out, got the man. He averaged 62 in the IPL last season, hit 36 sixes, 350s in 14 innings as well. He's going to be standing tall on this world stage. So make sure you take a look for him. And Glenn Phillips, I'd be scared for him in the field. I'll be very surprised if he gets substituted out for the X Factor in that, because the catches he took towards the end of that Champions Trophy were absolutely ripper. So keep an eye on Glenn Phillips in the field just as much with the bat.
Glenn Phillips, honestly, he's taken 3 catches in the last few months that could be like top 10 of all time. Unbelievable.
And he's a wicketkeeper.
He can do it all. Maxi, anything to add there, or we move on to our bowlers?
No, I love the Pooran shout. I think the guy that I'm really keen to see how he goes this season is Rishabh Pant. Aussies know him as the combative man behind the stumps in the Test arena, but probably what they don't realise was that he wasn't part of their Champions Trophy victory in the 50-over format of the game. He was dropped with KL Rahul preferred with the gloves. He's got a new Big Bash club this year. He's now also at the Lucknow Super Giants. So I'm really, really excited to see what he can do, change his environment, and see if he can elevate himself back into the Indian white ball setup.
Yeah. And our bowling lineup, Marco Jansen, Pat Cummins, we're stacked in our bowling. You take Joff Archer, who got spanked in the opener, Jasper Bumrah, and Noor Ahmed, the young Afghani, starred 4 for 18 in his opening game of the tournament. Maxi, bowlers, who catches your eye here?
Oh, mate, I could talk about all of them, but I'll touch on Noor Ahmed. And mate, there's a bit of a Melbourne Renegades theme here, right? I feel like in today's podcast, because this bloke rose to prominence after being signed as an international player at the age of 15. And I almost feel like you have to say alleged 15, right? Because I'm not sure of necessarily birth certificates of the strength of the Afghani cricket team.
He's not playing cricket like a 15-year-old at the time. Freak.
Yeah. Oh, well, he came down here and, look, he was a little bit probably underdone. He was very young, very raw. But what was really planted there was the seeds of this left-arm wrist spinner with a really quick slinging action that didn't allow batters much time to pick what direction the ball was going to spin. His last 12 months have been amazing. He's playing now in, I think, all 3 formats for the Afghan national team. And he's really proven himself to be that next in the line of great Afghan cricketers who are touring the world, making a living from this, following in the footsteps of Rashid Khan. So he's a freak. He's awesome to watch, and I think he's going to play a really, really big part if the Chennai Super Kings are going to go deep into this tournament.
Yeah, as you mentioned there, just another Afghani talent coming through the ranks. Looks unbelievable. So very exciting prospect this tournament. Rando, who caught your eye in the bowling ranks?
Obviously, Jasper Bumrah, you can't look past him. Obviously going to miss the first few games for Mumbai, but when he's back, that's when they're going to be absolutely humming with the bowling attack. He took 20 wickets last season, so hoping to see that same form again. But we always love to see an Aussie captain at an IPL side. Paddy Cummins, one of the most successful to ever do it. Really keen to see. Whilst he did bowl none for 60, his team did get the win in that first game after all. So
it's all that matters.
It's all that matters. Maybe it was tactics.
You got the dub. That's all that matters, boys. Now, the all-important predictions for the 2025 Indian Premier League. We're going to do most runs, most wickets, and the eventual winners. I'll start with you, Maxi. Who have you found?
Mate, most runs, I have gone with Travis Head. Call that a little bit of local bias. I love him, and this is more sort of hope than anything. I think there are other batters here who probably have an approach which is a little bit more safer, a bit better at consolidating runs, but I would love to see Travis top the runs this year.
Yeah. Wickets?
Mate, most wickets I've gone for Varun Chakravarti, who is like one of my favourite players in the last few months. He's an older player. He's been playing his domestic cricket for a number of years, but he really only sort of rose to the top of that Indian setup just prior to the Champions Trophy. He was in my team of the tournament for the Champions Trophy, and he's got some bit of mystery spin, bowls predominantly leg spin, but yeah, just a fantastic bowler and someone I'm really excited to see again playing for KKR. So I hope he takes a bag of wickets.
And the eventual winners.
I have gone with a team with a bunch of Aussies. We've spoken about them a few times, but I really liked what they did overnight as well to just kind of cement themselves as favourites in my mind, which is Sunrisers Hyderabad, a team I've followed for a number of years. They've had David Warner there for a really long time. They even had Moses Enriquez there for a couple of seasons as well. And again, if you haven't figured out by now, I do like my New South Wales cricketers, so that helps. But I think Sunrisers can go one better than last year. Lost to Starkey in the final last year in his KKR, so I'm hoping that Captain Pat can do one better.
Yeah, very good, mate. Rando, who are your predictions?
Well, I was going to say Travis Head, but obviously I don't want to steal anyone's thunder. I'm going to make this one big, flat track bully. We talked about him before, Jake Fraser-McGurk.
Oh,
He's
wow.
going to be my top run scorer for this one. 330 last season in just 9 games. I'm hoping he finds his form back. Obviously got that 1.6 Aussie mil price tag as well. So I'm really hoping for him to have a massive series. For my most wickets, I'm going to go with Varun here. Chakravarti. I always get this name wrong. Chakravarti?
Yep.
Bang.
Well
First
done,
go.
mate.
I'm going to leave it at that. You heard me. Second top wicket taker last season. I think he's been in brilliant form in the limited overs format, especially in that series against England. Also played well in the Champions Trophy too. So hopefully he will have the most wickets. And the winner here, not because of their performance just last night, but also because I just really want to see Travis Head and Paddy Cummins do well. Going to have to go with the Sunrisers as well.
Nice.
For myself, look, Travis Head's my boring answer. I'm not going to talk about him anymore. So I'm going to throw in a little bit of a rogue one. The South African veteran Faf du Plessis.
Okay. All right.
He's coming in red hot form. Granted, like on this T20 circuit, recent knocks 19, 14, 87. Been playing for the Super Kings 14, 15, 27, 18, 61. Double figures in every knock earlier on in the year. Boys, Faf still killing it at 40 years old. And
looking good too.
yeah, you get good odds for him if you're a punter as well. So Faf du Plessis, my boy Rashid Khan, the Afghani, has the most wickets for the tournament, and CSK, Chennai Super Kings to take it out and get the glory. So we'll revisit this at the end of the tournament and each week. All right, over to Rando's IPL-based trivia for the week. Can't wait for this one, mate. What have you found?
Turning down my brightness and changing my computer here. All right. It's very simple, fellas. It's based on Aussies in the IPL. It's the 3 top stats. So if we need to go to that third one, that will be the decider. But we'll start with the first one. Most runs by an Aussie in the IPL. Who have we got?
David Warner.
Has to be, doesn't it?
Does it? It is. So Maxi, straight off the gate.
That is the softest question of all time. Even by your standards.
After I got roasted for making them too difficult, I cut it down a notch.
David Warner.
Look, that's been one of my favourite stats for a while, because I think that and up until potentially recently, he was the highest run scorer for any non-Indian player in that tournament. He would go over there several years and like just dominate and have the orange or purple cap for the most runs. So he's been an IPL freak, which is why, again, I love the Sunrisers.
Got any other tough ones to throw us?
Well, I was going to say, you were right. He is top scoring. Yeah.
Yep.
The next one, most wickets by an Aussie in the IPL. This one's a little tougher, and I did not expect this player to be top of the list.
I'll give you a guess because I think I know.
Are we talking real rogue? Or like, nah?
Not real.
I don't think it's rogue.
Like,
I think I've got a good guess.
Like he's he's a proper Australian cricketer.
I'll wait for you to tell me James Faulkner or someone from back in the day.
Not that rogue, no.
Most wickets in the IPL. You go, Max, if you know it.
My guess will be Shane Watson.
What were you going to guess?
Is it Watson?
It is Watson. You were right. Last one, just for the fun.
That's good from you.
Last one for the fun. Most games by an Aussie in the IPL. Only Timmy can answer in the first 2 minutes.
I mean, David Warner would be too obvious. Mitch Stark?
No. Do you know?
Mitch Stark missed 9 years. I would say if it's not David Warner, it would probably be somewhere between Glenn Maxwell, who would be there every year, or maybe someone like a Sean Marsh, who I know had one of the greatest IPL records when he first started the tournament.
Stooped you both. Shane Watson, 145 games.
Watto as well.
Watto as well.
That's where he took all those wickets, I guess.
Yeah, terrible
It kind of
average.
adds up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But Maxi, the winner, again, I'll make sure it's even harder next week. So
I think I need a bit of a trophy, I reckon. Maybe like a weekly winner. I have to take it home with me.
absolutely.
Shan't be doing that.
Not in the budget.
Boys, the Sheffield Shield final, South Australia versus Queensland, March 26 to 30 at Karen Rolton Oval in Adelaide. South Australia dominant all season, lost one game back in November. That was to New South Wales. Plenty to talk about here, boys, but before we get into the preview of the game itself, a bit of controversy leading in around Usman Khawaja. Missed the final game for Queensland of the Shield season, instead attending the Formula One in Melbourne. So a bit of downtime for Uzi. Now, this one's via the ABC website. To quote, Usman Khawaja has launched a passionate defence of his Sheffield Shield absence, slamming Queensland's head of cricket Joe Dawes for categorically untrue comments that left him fuming. Khawaja, Joey said the medical staff had no idea. That is 100% wrong. I was talking to the Australian physio the whole time. Everyone knew about it. That was one of the most shocking things. Categorically untrue. I don't do anything without talking to Cricket Australia first. They always have the final say. Joe Dawes, he said, I go off our medical staff and there is no reason why he could not have played the last game. It's just disappointing he didn't play a game for Queensland when he had an opportunity to do so. Max, I'll start with you, mate. Fair or unfair? How do you see this?
Fair or unfair is a tough thing to judge, but I'm just going to call the whole situation weird, right? Like you've got a guy, and albeit if you're not within Australia and you don't understand the setup between the states and the Cricket Australia contracted players, like it's very much up to the individual how connected they are to their state. And I mean, you've got a guy like Adam Zampa, for example, who lives, 8 hours drive away from Cricket New South Wales up in Byron Bay, and only comes down when they physically select him. Apart from that, he just does his training up at his local park. So it's a weird one, right? Because you would love to hope that Uzi would be doing everything he can to give back to Queensland cricket. And I want to give him the benefit of the doubt here and say that he was injured and he did communicate this injury, as opposed to just going and having, living his Netflix dreams and Drive to Survive down in Melbourne at the F1. But it just feels weird. And I think the thing with this is you look at the situation and Usman Khawaja would be selected in this Queensland team 10 days out of 10, right? He's the opening batter for Australia, if you didn't know that. But having only played a handful of games throughout this Shield season, there's going to be a loser out of this if he is to be selected in this team. And that's where the fair or unfair question for me comes in here. Like, does a Lockie Hearn, a young cricketer up in Queensland, originally from New South Wales in his early 20s, who's trying to make a crust of first-class cricket, deserve to be dropped from the Shield final that he has helped his team qualify for to make way for Usman Khawaja? Like, what's bigger, the continued further development of the next generation of Australian cricketers or a title? That's where I think the question of fairness comes in, is parachuting blokes into games. But, man, weird situation. And you'd love to just hope that for the sake of Uzi's reputation that this has just been a bit of a miscommunication. Yeah,
and I understand that point of view, mate. And it is a tough one around, the development and the players that have, got to Queensland to that point. But at the end of the day, state cricket certainly isn't what it was 10, 15, certainly 20, 25 years ago. It used to be huge in Australia and on more TVs and, more watched to the general public as opposed to just the international sort of stuff. And I think an opportunity to get the Australian Test opener in a Shield final, I think, is just a win for the whole game and whole of domestic cricket in Australia. And secondly, Queensland are there to win a Sheffield Shield title. And what's the best way of doing that? That's by putting Usman Khawaja in it. So I think around the whole situation, it reeks of miscommunication, right, from both ends. Like from both CA, Khawaja, Dawes and Queensland cricket, that there's been a lack of communication. I don't think Dawes needed to go public and be so open about his comments leading into this. All could have been avoided. It wasn't, so that was weird. Rando, what's your take on it all?
Yeah, it is really confusing, particularly when Uzi's come out and said it's in the management system. They've obviously got an injury management system at Cricket Australia that all teams can look at. Hamstring, Usman Khawaja obviously reported there. Joe Dawes apparently didn't see that, and that's how it's all come out. It kind of reeks of, well, I got the sick I am sick from work, but the Formula One's
Medical
on and someone's
certificate.
giving me the ticket and I'm going to go, even though I am a little sick. And there's an important meeting on that depends on the business. But
and then they show the F1 broadcast and Dawes is watching it and they put the camera on Uzi and he's
literally. No photos, guys, no photos, and someone's taking a photo. But look, it's a bad look that he does show up to the Grand Prix. If it's any other game, we won't hear anything from it. But as you mentioned, it is the final, and Lockie Hearn, to his credit, didn't really do much to prove his case. He got a duck off 2 balls. So I don't know if they're really going to be sweating on this selection. I think it was he's straight in, unfortunately for Lockie.
Yeah, so like I said, the way it's played out, it's all been very weird and I think mishandled on all fronts, but could have been done a lot better and behind closed doors more than anything. Maxie, the game itself. South Australia, as I said, coming in as the favourites in this one. A really dominant season, both white and red ball domestically in Australia. How's the match play out?
Mate, the good thing, I think, from a South Australian perspective is that they've got a few batters in form. Alex Carey's record, I think he's averaging 85 in the Sheffield Shield season this year, 3 tons in 4 games. He's been in amazing form. Jake Lehman, veteran batsman, son of Darren, he's really turned back the clock as well and scoring a lot of runs at the top of the order. Their bowling attack's been on fire. Jordan Buckingham, Nathan McAndrew, they're getting wickets through spinner Lloyd Pope and Menenti. Like they're a really complete team, and throw in a couple of all-rounders in the middle. They've been fantastic. Queensland cricket on the other end, they've kind of been a bit of a slow start. Then Michael Neser has come back from injury and really helped propel them in the second half of the tournament at the top of the table. So I think on paper, they're quite evenly matched. There's certainly a lot of belief in this South Australian cricket team at the moment that they can win, as they did in the One Day Cup. But the thing which is going to be, I think, a bit of a downer in this Sheffield Shield final is Karen Rolton Oval, unfortunately, which is notoriously one of the flattest cricket grounds in all of Australia, if not all of the world. Like, I'd be shocked if the people at the IPL who said, let's try and score 300, didn't study Karen Rolton Oval before they went and curated all those decks over there in India. So it's going to be tough to get a result there.
Talk to us, what happens if there's a draw, mate?
So, yeah, this is where it gets even more technical and fun. So those who love the Sheffield Shield as much as I do would be familiar with the bonus point system, which means that as opposed to just wins, losses and draws, each team is awarded a number of points from their first batting and bowling innings based on what they can achieve in those 100 overs. So if you take 10 wickets, each of those wickets is worth like 0.1 of a point. And if you take, if you score runs, that's worth like 0.01 of a point. So you want to score lots of runs in your first 100 overs. You don't want to lose your 10 wickets in your first 100 overs. And look, these first innings are going to go 100 overs because it's Karen Rolton Oval. So at the end of the day, that could force a result, because if one's team's behind on the first innings, they'll be trying everything they can to try and win that cricket match. But otherwise, we'll be sitting there with the calculators and the spreadsheets trying to figure out who's going to take home the trophy.
Are you a fan of that system, mate, or not?
My fan of the system... It's a tough thing to answer because I don't know a better way.
Yeah.
I objectively don't like it because it's just too hard to follow as a spectator without sitting there and bringing out your spreadsheets, as I said. But there hasn't been a better way put forward because in the past, it used to just be that the home team, if they drew the match, then they would take home the trophy. And we saw some dour performances.
We saw some boring games.
Yeah, and again, like the 12th man in those matches was often the curator who was bringing out Karen Rolton-esque pictures right around the country, just flatties deluxe.
Yeah.
But look, this is marginally better. And look, both of these teams deserve to be here. I'm backing South Australia, I think, to get it done to the double, to the One Day Cup, to the Shield, and they deserve it. They've been the best team all season.
Rando, what are you looking for and who are you tipping?
Yeah, I think we could be looking at a draw here. We saw 6 tons in the last game against these two sides as well. So, look, I'm a Queenslander. I hope Queensland get the job done. Uzi comes into the side. I know that does absolutely nothing to their bowling attack, but from a batting perspective, hopefully they can keep them alive. You'd hate to see, I don't know what's worse, seeing this game being won to the home side if there was a draw, or seeing them won by the bonus point system. So it's the lesser of two evils, really. Hopefully we get a result. I'd love to see Queensland win, but agree with Maxie. South Australia, they definitely deserve it. They've been the best team across this Shield series.
Good vibes in former Redback territory. They're not the Redbacks anymore, but like there's good vibes down there at the moment.
Yeah. It's like winning on the bonus point system. It's like, don't know if you ever played junior soccer in Australia, but if you had a draw and at full time, it was whoever had the most corners in the game.
Yeah.
And I remember,
really?
I remember I won an under-8 soccer grand final on corner kicks, and I was like, you know what? I'll take the dub. Boys, on that awful note, I think it is time to wrap it up for this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed the quick, snappy IPL preview, the Shield final preview. We'll be back next Monday we're going to look at week in, week out, what's happening in the IPL. We'll, of course, recap the Shield final and a few other goings. Maxie, thank you, mate.
Appreciate it, Timo. Rando, good fun, mate. Keep those trivia questions coming to me in the Actually, almost let slip there. He's not letting me cheat, mate. Don't worry, I just know this stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm in footy mode at the moment. I'm balancing out my cricket, my footy, all these work commitments. So I'll commit a bit more time to the cricket study with the Rando's trivia.
Please do, mate. When you're up at the 1 a.m. for those starts of the IPL games, you can just be doing your study on the side between balls.
Well, you've got a new bub, mate. So you're up in the middle of the night watching the IPL when the rest of us are sleeping.
Up in the IPL, reading Wisdom. All you do.
Let's go Sunrisers.
Rando, thank you, mate.
Thank you very much, boys. I'll make the trivia harder or easier. It's a really hard medium because I'm making it easy for you, but it's too easy for him. It's tough. I think I have the hardest job on the panel.
Like David Warner, top run scorer, please.
But answer it.
A nice in between to be nice, please, mate. Guys, as I said, if you enjoyed the show, you watch it on YouTube, please subscribe, comment, like, do all those good things. But for now, enjoy your week.